If your car was a transformer, would it be a cool transformer or a lame transformer?
That's an easy question. It'd be a lame Transformer because I drive a 2013 Chevy Cruze that I can barely fit in anymore.
Oh yeah, that
So,
would be a lame transformer.
uh, but if I was a Transformer, like I transform into a vehicle, which I feel is the better question.
Oh,
I'd
okay,
be
okay, all right.
I'd be like a fire truck or a dump truck, some kind of big truck.
Oh, I'd want to be a plane. Why wouldn't you just be a plane? You could be a jumbo jet.
I'm just simply going by like my body mass and what I would be if I turned into a vehicle, and that'd be some kind of big front loader or something.
Oh yeah. But even if okay, even if you had a different body type, would you still want to be like a fire truck transformer? Like car would you want to be?
I mean, if I could be anything, it'd be a boat.
Are there transformer boats? I'm sure that there is. I'm not familiar with any transformers who are boats though.
I am not versed enough in Transformers to really talk about it, but I'm sure there is a boat Transformer. Let's see.
Okay, so I have a Subaru Crosstrek because I live in Seattle, and if you live in Seattle, you are required to own some sort of Subaru. And I don't think that my if my car was a transformer, it wouldn't be lame, but it wouldn't be one of the cooler transformers. On a scale of 1 to 10, it would be like a 5 or a 6, I think, is where my car would sit in terms of transformer coolness or lameness.
I mean, I feel like unless it's a sports car or a giant truck or something decked out, everything's going to be kind of in the mid range. Like, I don't think it's going to be too cool. And yes, there is a Transformer boat, by the way. Legacy is its name.
Oh, what kind of boat is it?
Um,
Didn't
it's a
get that
very good
far.
question. It's a double propeller boat. I have no idea.
I have no idea about that. I feel like I know less about boats than any other mode of transportation.
Bet you wish you knew about submarines.
How many books on submarines do you have? Just a quick check right now. How many books on submarines do you have at the moment?
I don't know, probably about a dozen. I just gave away a bunch of books actually.
Oh, that's very nice of you. You know, you don't really have to even buy them. You can just go to the library.
Yeah, but I'd rather support the writing community.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a one way to put it. Okay, but I polled the audience. 55% of people think that their car would be a relatively lame transformer. So you're not alone in thinking your car would be a lame transformer.
I don't think enough people realize that having a car isn't that cool anyways in terms of like having a really nice sports car. Most people like that's not a sustainable vehicle for them.
No, I've never really been a car person. To me, the only thing about a car that matters is does it have four wheels and will it get me to the where I need to go.
There was one point in my life where I actually went to a Lamborghini dealership and I was young. I lived in Orlando right before I met you actually. And yeah, it was quite embarrassing. Now looking back on it, I don't know why they even let me get to like the pricing option.
Oh,
Like
you actually like started having a conversation like you were gonna buy the thing?
I mean, I lied pretty much every question they asked me from the get, and they knew as soon as I sat down that I was lying real bad.
Why did you let it get that far? Like eventually, didn't you know that you were just lying to these people? Like you had no means of affording this thing? You
Well,
wasted
I
their
wanted to.
time. You should feel
Oh,
bad about that.
absolutely, absolutely. But well, for one, I didn't realize that you can't lease Lamborghinis. They don't let you like. They're at least the place I went. They didn't have any leasing on them. It was like buy them or nothing. Um, but they knew as soon as I sat down and they were like, "Okay, start filling out this paperwork." I was just like, Can I test drive one of them real fast just to see how I feel in it?" And yeah, they didn't buy any of it.
Oh my God, you actually went there thinking, well, I guess there's only one way to find out. I mean, in
Yeah.
hindsight, like at my age now, I would look back and be like, man, you were a dumb kid.
Oh, I
Like,
was. I mean, I mean, I walked in there probably wearing the cheapest clothes with the cheapest car, and I mean, but I always wanted to I just wanted to. I never got what the price was, by the way.
Oh, you didn't even get that far?
Oh no! As soon as they started as soon as they handed me like a slip, to fill out for like a loan or whatever, I was like, "What am I doing? What am I gonna put my income as? 40 grand? Like, what's
God,
that gonna
could you
do?"
imagine? Like, what they would just tell you to leave. They'd be like, "Hey, man, you can't afford this
Yeah,
in any way." But you never know with people. Like, you got to be nice to everybody at the onset at the Lamborghini dealership.
Well, I want to publicly. This is the first time I've done this. I want to publicly apologize to David if he's still there because I wasted an hour of your time.
Oh my! You were there for an hour with the guy?
I mean, he wasn't with me the entire time. We'll say a good half an hour he was with me.
Still, dude, that probably happens to David all the time, man. He probably went home and complained about you. Okay, how many people do you think in a work setting have gone home and complained about dealing with you as part of their job? Like, God, this guy.
I don't know about. I mean, I'm a pretty fair employee, a pretty good and I don't think they complain, but I feel like everyone says that. So I'll say probably like 2 out of every 10, probably. 20%.
Okay. Like 20% of people who you have to deal with in a work capacity probably complain about you when they get home. That's not good. It's not terrible. Mine's probably a little bit lower than that, but I could be biased. I would say mine's probably like 5 to 10% of people who have to deal with me in a work capacity complain about me.
I mean, but they'll never complain to my face. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, I don't usually cause enough problems that somebody's going to complain to my face. I would agree with that. Okay, all right, let's move on.
All right, time to everyone's favorite part of the production, the shout-outs. Let's see. We'll start with R.J. Baldinelli.
That's a good name.
Dan Fightstar. Emiliano Botello. Chris Welch, Daniel Galanea, Liam Kelly, Sam Woodward, Tommy Foley, Jonathan Madison, Tari Stefan, Ron Harrow, and Braden Brown. Even though I got to tell you a basement story for 30 seconds, I got freaked the hell out over the weekend because I came down and we had turned off our air conditioning. It's getting cold in Michigan now. So it hasn't ran in a couple of weeks or a couple of days. I come down and I smell, it's kind of a weird smell in the air, like a stale air smell. Mm-hmm. And I walk over towards the refrigerator and there is just a puddle of water. So I freak out, naturally, and I go upstairs and I ask my wife, the kind of weird, I think the refrigerator, something's wrong with it. And she says, no, I asked our youngest daughter, who is 4, to get some ice. And apparently when my daughter got some ice out of the refrigerator, it all went onto the floor instead of in the cup, and that's why there was water everywhere. So, heart attack averted.
I'm glad to know. Thank you. That's an important story that people really needed to know about, that essentially a 4-year-old acted like a 4-year-old and you had a small puddle of water in your basement.
Any parent out there understands what I'm saying. Just because you have never
experienced that, I'm like,
because you're not an involved dad, I get it.
Oh, no. I'm such an involved dad that's not even a thing that registers in my brain. Like, that's just a daily occurrence that you're going to have to deal with as a parent. If that's the kind of thing that gets you flustered, you got to toughen up, man.
I didn't say I got flustered.
You can't be flustered by a small puddle of water.
I just want it to be known, I regret the last 6 years of this podcast with you. Let's move on. Some Halloween-related questions just for you. If you were trapped in a room and the person holding you in the room said you can leave, but you have to leave without a body part, which body part are you giving up?
Oh, well, my little toe. That's easy.
Okay, let's narrow it down. Both arms, both legs. What are you giving up to get out of there?
I would give up both legs because I am really hoping that medical science will advance in the next couple of decades and that I can kind of get some of that back. That's what I'm hoping. I'm really, really in my life counting on an exoskeleton in the next 20 years.
I mean, I laugh, but apparently they're going to start releasing some kind of robot that's like a partner, like a sex robot. You're going to buy it commercially, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's the first kind of robot. It's interesting though that of all the robots that we could have designed for humanity, the first one that's going to be released is the sex robot. I don't count automation in like warehouses and stuff like that, right? I understand that. Like the first personal robot that you can buy is going to be the sex robot. Nobody even bothered. I mean, really, if you think about it, the robot really doesn't have to do anything. Kind of has to be there.
Doesn't.
It's not as complicated as like doing daily chores. So I kind of understand it, but also think that it's ironic.
Lazy ass robots, always getting off the hook.
Robots. Right? That's the problem, is that we designed the robots. They're ultimately going to be just like us and lazy. We have to get robots for the robots.
All right, if you were in a horror movie, what would be the scariest form of a killer coming after you to you? Would it be like a Michael Myers? Would it be like a Chucky doll? A ghost?
Oh, anything like supernatural. Any kind of supernatural thing. Because if it was just a human, even if you're talking about like Michael Myers or Jason or whatever, even though they're supposedly like superhuman, they're still human. Like I would be the most worried about some kind of supernatural thing.
See, I think it would be them. I mean, supernatural. I mean, just, I don't know. I guess I've never been that afraid of them. But somebody who like stalks you and just never leaves and you can't kill them, that's a unless you're Busta Rhymes, of course. R.I.P. You just can't do it.
Yeah, but they're still a human, Like they're still going to do human things. Like they're going to forget where you were. Maybe they're going to get distracted. Maybe they got an appointment that they got to go to, right? Like if you're human, even if you're an evil thing, like you still got stuff you got to do. Like you got to go wash your clothes. You can't just be there forever.
That's what I had this conversation with a girl that I dated a long time ago. We were watching Halloween, and she goes, "What if Michael Myers, like, when does he take a shit or piss? Like, when does he do any of that?
What if he has to go to the bathroom? That's why I would ultimately always go with the human enemy, because they have to do human things. How long did this relationship last, right? How long did it go?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 3-4 months. It wasn't a good one. It wasn't positive.
I'm always slightly shocked that you bring up past relationships when you're a married man. I don't talk about him at all. I don't bring him up. I don't mention it. I don't even say girls' names around my wife.
Oh, I mean, every relationship's a stepping stone, right? Well, not everyone, actually. Some are terrible, to be honest, but they're just memories, man. They're just things from the past. You can't take them back, so why bury them?
I do always find it interesting that you can have really intense relationships with people, and then they just kind of disappear. Like, there's been relationships that I spent a year or two of my life with somebody, and then never talk to them again. I do think that that's interesting. Like, you don't just kind of check up on each other. Like, you still spent a lot of time with that person. Even people at work, where, like, you sat next to somebody for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week in some cases for years, and then just never heard from them again. Like, how people just disappear out of your life.
I mean, look at college roommates. I mean, you are in the formidable years of your youth, and you graduate, and a lot of times you don't even talk to them, anymore. Like, they're just gone.
I did have college roommates, 3 other guys that I lived with for 2 years, and then we just fell out of touch, and none of us have spoken to each other in almost 15 years probably, which is crazy when you think about it, that people just go in and out of your life like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. It's just, once again, I just think it's just memories. You move on, and, look at us. We've been friends for a decade now. Over a decade.
Oh, a long time.
Too long, actually. Way
too long. Dragging a little bit. Okay, all right, let's move on.
This is kind of a twofold question, but really it's just one answer. Would you ever get in a taxi that is not driven by a person?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be the first one to be in there. I'm probably not going to be the first 1,000 or maybe even the first 10,000. But ultimately, I trust machines at this point more than I trust people.
See, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that, to be honest with you. Just not sure I can get it. Well, I mean, if I'm really inebriated and I get in a robotic car, I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't know what was going on. Like, I would just have no idea, I think.
Yeah, but you can say that with people. Yeah, I mean, that exact same thing would happen with a taxi driver, right? Like, at least if you look at it, the robotic taxi probably is more affiliated with the company or has more involved in, like, not getting you killed than a person does.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm listen. I am not against autonomous vehicles. I'm not, but it would. I'm kind of like you. I wouldn't be the first 500, but it's. I don't know. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies, I guess, thinking of getting in a vehicle that isn't operated by a human.
I do also find it fascinating that I went from like not trusting an Uber driver to being like, no, I'll just take the Uber driver and I trust them more than a taxi cab driver. Things switch around, man. I'm telling you,
It's
we're
kinda
all gonna
crazy.
be we're all gonna be with the robots here pretty soon.
Exoskeletons.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I would do it now, honestly. Like my back hurts a little bit. I would probably get it all replaced at this moment.
All right. My last thing I wanted to bring up was a not candle of the month.
Oh, okay.
Bath and Body Works made some
I saw that.
some headlines.
I wondered if you were going to talk about it. Tell the people.
Uh,
Tell the people.
They were, I don't want to say they were forced to, but there was a lot of backlash. They released one of their winter candles called Snowed In, and it's up to interpretation, but some people say that the design, which is supposed to be a snowflake, the arrow prongs of the snowflake, people are saying look like Ku Klux Klan hoods.
It does.
And,
I saw it. It does.
Um, I mean, it's not, but I mean, I feel like you go 50-50. But I think the company did the right thing, and they removed them from stores, and they're not selling them. So good on them for listening to their consumers. However, like whoever, I mean, you couldn't find. My first thought when I read that story was you couldn't find like a better snowflake. Like that's what you get. That's what you picked.
It's incredible. So I've worked for big companies, like companies with thousands of people, and the number of people who see something before it goes out and the amount of attention to detail that goes into things is kind of mind-boggling to me. So the idea that that could happen is incredible. Like nobody looked at that and thought,
Right?
"Oh, that looks like a bunch of KKK members." Is kind of crazy.
Yeah, like no one was sitting around the table when they were drawing this up, going like, "Guys, or ladies, or whatever, that looks like a hood, and that looks like Howell, Michigan." So
It looks exactly like KKK hoods. But I do wonder if it's one of those things that you don't notice it until somebody points it out, and then you immediately notice it. Like, you only see it if you're looking for it. But it's also the kind of thing that when I saw the story, I was like, oh, what's the issue? Like, oh, that's the issue. That looks exactly like that. Did you buy some? Did you buy some? Those could be collector's editions. You should go sweep them up, candle connoisseur.
I did not actually. In the most articles, eBay did get involved, and there's a response from them saying that if any of them are sold or found to be sold on eBay, that user selling them will be banned because of the the suspected racial undertones of why they are being sold. So,
have you ever made though like a huge work mistake? Huge work mistake.
I mean, I haven't because I always triple check myself, but I've been a part of decisions that are not correct sometimes. Working in the media, I mean, I'll admit this out loud because I think we all have. There have been some things, information that has been wrong, not always our fault. But no, nothing like this. And unfortunately, if you go online, there's still obviously a pretty strong community around the country of people who are unfortunately into these types of things because It's just insane with that. But regardless, yeah, no, I've made mistakes. I don't know if I would have made something this big.
Okay, so our top 5 is top 5 sports nicknames, specifically people, not teams. Those would be team names. But anyway, spilled milk under the bridge. There's something for that where you mix two things that are not correct. It's supposed to be like spilled milk under the bridge or whatever.
Anyways,
what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Thomas the Hitman Hearns. Love the Hitman.
Oh, that is a good nickname. Boxer, I believe, correct?
Jesus. Yes, one of the greatest ever.
Right, and he's not Thomas, he's Tommy. Tommy Hearns. Nobody calls Tommy. Nobody calls a boxer Thomas. Okay?
Sure.
That's Tommy. Okay. That's a good one. My number 5 is the Todd Father. I love the nickname the Todd Father. I will never not laugh about the Todd Father nickname. Real name is Todd Frazier. He's a baseball player. It's fantastic. Yep. It's amazing.
I'm going to stick on the baseball train here. My number 4 is the Big Unit, Randy Johnson.
That's a good one. Also, for people who are not familiar with him, he's like 6'10", and if you ever see a video of somebody throwing a baseball and killing a bird, like exploding it, that's the guy who did it.
Like a 1 out of a million chances, and he did it.
My number 4 is He Hate Me, Rod Smart.
I mean, what a career he had.
You could make an argument his whole career was his nickname. Really, that should be a problem. If he was a more famous guy and he had stuck around, you could put that up way higher. Because for people who aren't familiar, like when the XFL started, he was He Hate Me, and he had that on the back of his jersey. And I think that's still one of the only things that people remember from the entire XFL is that guy's nickname.
And the weird-ass kickoffs where they would both run at the ball and hit each other. But
amazing. Didn't they try to bring the NFL back in like 2 different leagues recently in the spring? And like both of them, nobody ever heard of it.
Well, they did. I think The Rock actually bought both or something. And now it's like one league, the AFL or something. I don't know.
Oh, they combined them? All right, what's your number 3?
Chocolate Thunder, Daryl Dawkins.
That's a good one. That's really good, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Chocolate Thunder is amazing.
Love it.
It's not on my list, but I could put the White Mamba, Brian Scalabrine from basketball.
Which, for some reason, he has red hair. I don't know how he got to be a White Mamba, but sure.
It's amazing because he's called the White Mamba, and he looks like the guy least qualified to be the White Mamba.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
right?
That's the guy we picked? Like, our best nickname is that guy? Like, okay. It makes us look even dorkier. No offense, he's probably a great guy. What are we on, number 3?
Yep.
I don't actually know what this player's name is. All I know is their nickname is the Time Lord. Robert Williams. He plays for the Celtics.
Yeah, and big old Robert Williams. Is he dead?
No, he's the Time Lord, man. You can't kill the Time Lord. He's still playing. He's like 97, I think.
All right, I wasn't sure. I feel like he could have been dead, but
he's been around for a long enough time that they call him the Time Lord.
All right, my number 2. It's such a tough list, but this one is one of the more famous nicknames, and that is Primetime, Deion Sanders.
Is that really that great, though? I feel like that's massively overrated.
No, I feel like he was everything and then some. Like, it would have been different if somebody was nicknamed Primetime and just farted out. But he lived up to all the expectations. Like, he was, even now, as coach of Colorado, he is Primetime.
My number 2 is Calvin Johnson, a.k.a. Megatron. That's a great one.
So I have that one on my honorable mention. That's a great one. Because if you've ever met Calvin, he is a freaking robot. Like, he is a mountain of a man.
And you have met him. We don't need to go into your story, but
We
was
don't.
your dancing partner?
I mean, he wasn't my partner, but whatever. We just went to the same dance studio.
Did you guys ever dance together?
No.
Did your wives ever dance together?
No, I don't think so.
You missed an opportunity. You could have tangoed with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, he's only about 9 inches taller than me and had like 4% body fat.
God, yeah, he's a gigantic person. What's your number 1?
So if you don't know hockey, you're not going to know this name, but it's awesome. And it's the Grim Reaper. Stu Grimson, who was a defenseman known for fighting his opponents. That was his nickname, the Grim Reaper. I mean, how awesome is that?
That is a really good nickname. It's really even that much better when the name kind of matches who they are. Like,
yeah, for sure.
My number 1 is Charles Barkley, round mound of rebound.
See, when I think of him, I don't think of that nickname. I think of Sir Charles. I don't think of the round mound of rebound, which is freaking awesome, though.
The round mound of rebound is one of the best nicknames. I think the round mound of rebound is the best nickname because it suits him perfectly. Even though I could hear that Sir Charles might be his more prominent nickname.
I mean, the problem is there's so many good ones. Like, if you just go with the ones that are household names, you could say those are top 5. I mean, yeah, there's so many good ones.
What do you have in your honorable mention? Give me a couple.
Too many.
Okay.
King James, Teddy
good.
Ballgame, the Black Mamba, Sultan of Swats, the Hick from French Lick.
That's good. That's a really good one. Larry Bird.
Couple that I just put on at the bottom as I was rushing through my list that are personal favorites of mine. Penny for Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
The Mailman, Karl Malone. Even though I don't think he's a very good person, but whatever.
Yeah, I think he's pretty widely known as a terrible guy.
The Night Train, Dick Lane. The Refrigerator, William Perry.
That was the one that I really thought about was Night Train Lane. And then I realized that his real name is Dick Lane, which almost is better. Right? Like, your two names are Dick Lane and your nickname is Night Train. Like, that's an amazing, just all-around set of names.
Then a couple others here. I had to go the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt. I mean, that's just cool, especially because he drove a race car. The big Fundamental for all of you scholars out there. And then we'll end here on the Great One, Wayne Gretzky. Because I mean, if you're known as anything great, that's just awesome.
That's pretty good. I don't have anything else.
How? Can I just keep going then? Because I have like 5 I didn't get to.
Oh, keep going. I mean, all yours are the ones that got covered by mine. I mean, pretty much.
I mean, Super Mario, Hakeem the Dream.
That's good.
Charlie Hustle to the late, great Pete Rose. White Chocolate, Jason Williams.
That's a good one.
And then, this one, I guess I'm just a boxing fan, but Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Did Mike Tyson have Iron Mike?
Iron Mike. I mean, it's okay.
That's not great. That's one of the worst ones for a big-time person.
As you said earlier, it fit him, right? Iron Mike. But it's just okay. It's not, like, great or anything.
I would say basketball and baseball have the best nicknames.
Basketball for sure. I'd say, that's a good, basketball and baseball for sure.